Hello, welcome to another video of CS106A. This is assignment 7. This is called Facepamphlet. And I, Kai, will take care of you guys by going through the assignment using my solution and explaining why I made the choices I made. Today we'll be going over milestone 1. Last time, for assignment 6, we did name surfer and we dealt with interactors, which I told you were like widgets. Well, guess what? In Facepamphlet, it'll just be just like the same thing. Facepamphlet is like a knockoff of Facebook in a way, like a very simple version. Here is the flowchart. Basically, you can see it's the same thing. You got a Facepamphlet profile database, which you make Facepamphlet profiles. Facepamphlet class will ask for it or remove it or add it or whatever. It's going to return these, and then you're going to hand it off to the canvas, and it's going to display all these things just like NameSurfer. And basically, the first thing that I want you to do is to create this GUI. Okay, so let's get down to it. Okay, so let's use this as a reference, and let's go ahead and declare our instance variables. First thing we need, I'm going to go with name labels, so private JLabel, name label, name label, call that. Next one is J text field. Oops, J text field. Let's call that name field. The next thing we need are the buttons. Private J button. Let's call that the add button. Let's call this one the delete button. And let's call that one the lookup button. Okay, next thing is the left side. So there we have a J text field. We'll call that the status field. Okay. Call that one, oops, got ahead of myself. Private, that's a button. Let's call that the status button. Of course, I'm naming these instance variables using long text, and you can use shortcuts. I mean, B for button, F for field. I just like seeing it written out. Makes it a little easier for me. Picture field, private J button. Call that picture button. Private J text field. We'll call that the friend field. Private J button. We'll call that the friend button. Okay, so that should be everything that we need, and notice how I kept some spaces there just to show the differences. This one should be together. I'll call that top window, left window. Okay, so let's initialize these. So first things first, name label. So it's a new G label, and we're going to call that string to name. Okay, and then we're going to do this. We're going to add that name label to the north, like that, because it's got to be directional. Next thing is the J text field, so name field equals to new J text field. I believe they give you a size that they want you to use. Let's take a look. Yeah, J text field size. And then we want to go ahead and add that as well. Okay, to the north, or else it's going to automate to center. I want that. Add button. So next one is the add button. New J button, and we have to name it. So add, and we're going to add that button. So add the add button to the north, and then we have the delete button. new J button. So you can see it's very redundant, which is fine, because that's good, because if you know what you're doing, then you've got no problems. Delete button, north. Next one's a lookup. So lookup button equals to new J button, and we'll call that lookup. Add lookup button north. Okay, that's good. That's good. Now we got to deal with the west side. So the first thing we have there on the west side is the status text field. Okay, so new J text field, fixed size, right? And we want to add that to the west side. West side. Okay. Next one is the J button. So that's going to be the status button. Notice how I don't have to look at it because I know what it's named or how it's named. J button, and we want to add the text. Change status. Add that status button. Okay. Next one is, oh, well, notice how here we have a space. So to create that space, all you have to do is add a J label. New J label with, well, actually I can't remember what they want you to use. Oh, empty text label, that must be a constant. Yes, it is. And you don't need the quotation marks since it is a string already. And that would go on the west side. Like that. So it's pretty close. Yeah, pretty close. After you put the status button, we want to go ahead and put the picture field. New J text field. And again, this is with the text field size. And then we want to add that picture field to the west side. Okay. Next, we want to add the button. So we'll call that the picture button. New J button. We'll call that change picture. Add picture button to the west side. And next, we're going to add another space. And then friend field equals to new JText field, and this will be, whoopsies, we need that one, not the other one. Stick that guy in, and then let's go ahead and add that guy. Friend field to the west. And lastly, the button. So friend button. Let's go to new J button. Wow, lots and lots of stuff, huh? Friend. We want to add that friend button to the west side. Cool. Good times. So when we look at it, it's got to look pretty solid. Hey, pretty solid. Okay, so what do we want to do now? Oh yeah, one more thing. Initially, extension is program, but since we want to test the buttons, you need to make it into a constant program, so make sure you do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and give some action to these buttons. Let's see, what do we want? Well, if my e dot action e dot action e dot get action command, that's what it is equal to, whoopsies, is equals to the button add, then what you want to do is, or no, add that, then you want to initiate a command, and that is println add whatever's in the field. So whatever's in the name field, get that text. Oops, no. Get that text. Okay. So I know usually I use e.getSource, but really the better thing to do is use, if it's a button, use .getActionCommand, name the button, and then use e.getSource for text fields. Okay. I should have said that earlier, but I mean, it really doesn't really matter that much, but you want to show some distinguishable differences from where the source comes from. So yeah. Okay. Next is else if e.getActionCommand equals to, in this case, delete. Oops, delete. Then what do you want to do? Well, easily, you want to print the ln and call this delete. Then you want to do the same thing, else if, except this time instead of delete is lookup. And again, that's going to say lookup right there. And then what happens when you type in, oh yes, when you press the button change status. So here, if it is now change status, and it's going to say change status, and now it's from the status field. But of course, not only do we want it to have an action based on touching the button, we want to use it also when you hit enter. So instead of creating a whole new else if, the easiest thing to do really with that one is right here, create this, which means or v.getSource. This is where you can implement that, is equal to the status field. Then it's going to do the same thing. Cleaner, nicer. Just make sure you can do that kind of stuff and not have to waste so much space. Now what happens though if it's the other one? And when I say other one, I mean by change picture. Then or picture field. Then what you want to do is change the picture, and that is coming from the picture field. Okay. And lastly, let's say we want to add our friend. Then you want to type in add friend and make sure that this is the friend field. Friend field. And this one changes to add friend. Okay, so that's how you do it. Those are your action commands. I'll probably hit enter just so that it wraps around. Don't have to, but I mean, you can't really see it. So let's go ahead and test it. Okay, so let's see what happens when we type in Neyron and hit add. Okay, that's not what we wanted, and that's pretty obvious as to why it didn't work, because the add button didn't fully comprehend the action. So we go back and we take a look, and yeah, I forgot to give them action listeners. So when that happens, usually the action is not there. So here, what we need to do is first add the action to the fields. So that would be name field dot add action listeners, and make sure you're referring to this, which is the text field. Okay. Here's another one. So you need to do status field dot add action listeners. Make sure you're referring to this, which is the status field. Okay. Then you need to do it again for this one. So picture field, and we're going to add action listeners here too. And right there too. Friend field dot add action listeners. This, okay. And for the buttons, we need to add generic action listeners. So action listeners, plural, for the buttons. So now that everything is being listened to, let's try this again. May run, hit add, there it is. Delete, Julie. Let's see if that works. There we go. Then we have lookup Eric. Good. Sleeping. I spelled status wrong, so let me fix that later. Sleeping, that one I need to click change status. Oh, because I spelled status wrong. Right, so let's go back there. Status. Wouldn't work because I spelled it wrong. Okay, so let's go back to sleeping. Oh, wrong place. Sleeping. Or, yeah, there we go. Eating. Hit enter. Good. Stanford logo. Stanford logo.jpg. That's going to be click. Good. Then Mayron AS. Mayron S JPEG. Enter. Good. Next one is Julie. Click. Yes. And Eric. Click. Eric. Enter. There we go. So all the buttons work and they're functional, and that is milestone 1 for assignment number 7. Please like and subscribe. If there's any questions as to how I did something, or if you have any questions about your own algorithm, go ahead and put it in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, and I'll talk to you later.